challenge that we confront. How do you think we can close the gap with China in the places where we've lost ground and retake the lead? And specifically, what can AI do for our defense industrial base if properly harnessed and implemented? And I guess the key question here is like, why is it so important for humans to be amplified and not replaced by artificial intelligence?
Well, in order, and maybe in simplest terms, how I think about this is at a minimum, like the pass-fail grade for U.S. grand strategy is we should not be funding our own destruction, right? If there's one thing we've learned, like in the last 3 decades, is that the problem isn't that we didn't engage hard enough with China or that we didn't give them enough access to the global economy. It's not like we open one more theme park or have more American movies in China or another American business. Suddenly the commies are going to wake up and think, you know what, we got America wrong. Let's change our whole approach. We should not be allowing U.S. capital and intellectual property to flow to China in order to fuel their destructive ambitions, their genocidal ambitions internally, and their revanchist ambitions externally. It is long past time for us to put controls on outbound capital flows to China, to put sensible limits on their on their access to our own intellectual property, their presence at American universities, and also to reestablish some semblance of deterrence in cyberspace so that the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, i.e. intellectual property theft from China, does not continue. So that's point one. Point two, because we were complacent for decades, you're right to suggest that the American industrial base, and defense industrial base in particular, has become hollowed out. It's become brittle. We've gone from having a lot of companies in that space to it being concentrated in 5 defense primes. Increasingly, we're starting to see that change due to the efforts here at Palantir to revitalize the ecosystem and the new administration's push for non-traditional defense tech. But still, we're not moving fast enough. So we have to find a way to revitalize American manufacturing. That's where I think AI has so much promise, right? Far from being a threat to American workers, I actually think AI is going to be the Iron Man suit that we're able to wrap around every American worker who wants to work, bust their butt, allow them to make more money, be incredibly more productive. And the fact is, we just, as a matter of strategy, we're not going to beat China if we just try and throw more human beings and money at this problem. We have to find a way to fight smarter. And it's that American innovative ecosystem leveraging AI, software, cutting edge technology, pairing it with legacy industries that I think is going to be our opportunity to reduce our dependency on China in critical areas, revitalize our American manufacturing industrial base, and also ensure that they can't control the commanding heights of critical technology, whether it's AI, whether it's quantum, whether it's synthetic biotech, take your pick. Because what we've learned in recent years is that given dominance in those areas, they will weaponize that dominance, right? They're using their dominance in rare earth manufacturing and processing right now to kind of hold us over the barrel in certain diplomatic negotiations. They threatened to cut off the export of APIs during the coronavirus pandemic to plunge us into a sea of coronavirus. Imagine if we got into a confrontation over Taiwan with China and they cut off access to critical, microelectronics or rare earths or ingredients for life-saving drugs. Or imagine if they weaponized the access that they now have to American critical infrastructure after the Volt and Salt Typhoon attack. So I guess all this is a long way of me saying, while we've paid lip service to the idea that we have an existential competitor in the form of the CCP, and while some are willing increasingly to say we're in the early stages of a new Cold War, we still haven't attacked this problem with the requisite sense of urgency that it demands, as if it were an existential threat. And every time I even would say that this is an existential threat, I would get the crap kicked out of me by the Washington Post and all sorts of commentators on TV, and I'd be called a neo-McCarthyite. But all you have to do is just read what Xi Jinping says, particularly when he's talking to party audiences. Like, he has no reservations when he's not talking to the Davos crowd, when he's talking internally, about talking about America as evil, about talking about the inevitable decline and demise of the capitalist-led order led by America, about saying, I will take Taiwan by force if necessary. he is preparing his country for war, and we still are not meeting the moment in order to deter a war.